On Wednesday, September 10th, the town of Warren, Utah, woke to what seemed like an ordinary day. Students filled the campus lawns of Ridgemont University, some excited, some skeptical, to attend the appearance of Ethan Mercer, a young political figure whose campus tour was stirring debate across the country. Mercer was no stranger to controversy. In his early 30s, he had already built a national reputation. His speeches were fiery, his social media following immense. Supporters praised his conviction. Critics saw him as a provocateur. But wherever he went, crowds gathered, to cheer, to argue, or simply to watch. That afternoon, under a white tent set up in the campus quad, Mercer faced his audience. The air was tense. Some students held placards, others raised questions. Mercer thrived on this energy. He leaned into debate, engaging directly with the people in front of him. It was during one such exchange, as he responded to a student's question, that it happened. A single shot cracked across the open space. For a split second, the crowd froze, confused. Then panic, screams filled the air. Mercer collapsed, blood at his neck as aides dragged him from the stage. Students dove for cover. Cell phones flew into the air, capturing fragments of chaos. What no one realized in that moment was that the shooter had positioned himself on a rooftop more than 400 feet away. Witnesses later described seeing a figure in dark clothing lying prone, almost invisible against the roofline. After the shot, he sprinted across the top of the building, and disappeared into the maze of streets that surrounded the university. The hunt had begun. Police sealed the campus within minutes. Dozens of officers flooded the area. Tactical teams searched buildings, stairwells, and roofs. Helicopters circled overhead. Roadblocks formed around Warren. The city went on lockdown. The discovery came just hours later. In a wooded patch not far from the campus, officers recovered a bolt-action rifle, wrapped in a towel and hidden among the brush. It was a deliberate drop, placed where it could be found, but stripped of identifying prints. The weapon raised as many questions as it answered. Who had planted it? Why a single precise shot? And where was the shooter now? As night fell, the questions only grew. 2 individuals matching the vague description were taken into custody, interrogated, and released. The public grew restless. Social media swirled. With speculation, for 24 hours, the manhunt consumed the state. But there was no suspect, no arrest. The breakthrough came not from surveillance, but from whispers. Investigators received a tip. The suspect had confessed to a relative. 28-year-old Marcus Reed of Halcyon, Utah, had spoken to his father, hinting at what he had done. The father, conflicted, shared his concern with a friend, who in turn alerted authorities. By late Thursday evening, Reed surrendered at a police station in Stonemont, more than 200 miles from the campus where the shooting had taken place. For investigators, the arrest was only the beginning. Inside Reed's apartment, detectives uncovered a digital trail. His roommate provided access to messages exchanged over Discord in the days leading up to the shooting. They revealed meticulous preparation, retrieving a rifle from a hidden drop point, wrapping it carefully in a towel, observing the site in advance. Most chilling were references to the ammunition itself. Reed described engraving bullets with words and symbols, taunts aimed at his target, fragments of political slogans, even internet memes. Among the recovered casings, investigators found phrases like, "Hey, fascist," "The Catch and Bella Ciao," a nod to an anti-fascist resistance anthem. Another bore nonsensical online slang mocking anyone who might later read it. To prosecutors, these engravings offered a window into Reed's mind, an unsettling fusion of ideology, mockery, and internet culture. As details emerged, the political shockwaves spread. Supporters of Mercer described him as a victim of hatred, silenced for his ideas. Critics, while condemning the act, argued that the escalating rhetoric in politics had created a dangerous climate where words could lead to violence. Governor Laura Banks addressed the public with a firm statement. "We got him. Justice will be served." President Samuel Hayes urged calm, warning that retaliation and anger would only deepen divisions. His message was clear. Political violence, no matter the source, is a threat to democracy itself. Meanwhile, those who knew Marcus Reed struggled to reconcile the man they remembered with the act he had committed. Family members described him as once quiet, helpful, even kind, but increasingly bitter in recent years. At a family dinner shortly before the shooting, he mentioned Mercer's upcoming campus visit, voicing hostility toward the man and his ideas. One relative recalled him saying Mercer spread hate and deserved to be stopped. Friends described Reed's isolation. He spent more time online, immersed in forums and chats that echoed his frustrations. His roommate told investigators that Reed often stayed up late, whispering into his headset, planning, plotting, arguing with voices in the dark. What emerged was the portrait of a man consumed by grievance, drifting from political disagreement into radicalization. For the community of Oren, the shock was immediate and deep. Vigils formed on campus lawns, students holding candles in silence. Professors spoke of the fragility of free expression. Parents worried about the safety of their children. For Mercer's family, grief eclipsed everything. He left behind a wife and 2 young children. They chose to stay silent, asking for privacy as the investigation unfolded. But the questions lingered. Why did Reed choose violence? Was he driven by ideology, by personal rage, by the lure of notoriety? Investigators worked to piece together a precise timeline. Days before the shooting, Reed had planted the rifle near campus. On the day itself, he retrieved it, moved into position, and waited. 1 shot, 1 escape route. Hours later, he abandoned the weapon in the woods, leaving it for discovery. Then he fled across the state before finally turning himself in. The engraved bullets, cryptic, mocking, ideological, became central evidence. To investigators, they revealed intent. To the public, they revealed the blurred line between online posturing and deadly reality. As the trial loomed, the nation watched closely. For some, Mercer's death was a warning about the dangers of unchecked extremism. For others, it was a call to defend free speech at all costs. And for many, it was simply a tragedy. 1 man dead, another facing life in prison, and a community left broken. In the end, the story of September 10th was not only about a single shot on a college campus, it was about a society wrestling with the weight of its divisions. A reminder that words, when twisted into weapons, can shatter lives. 1 bullet, 1 death. And a country asking itself how it came to this.